So, in another stellar episode of Richard Lewis was right again. Put that on my fucking tombstone. He died right. This industry, like, it's not like you have to be a fucking clairvoyant with the fucking tea leaves out, okay? You've just got to have a brain and, you know, understand what works and what doesn't in the industry. That's it. No great magical powers. I'm not psychic. I can't move things with the power of my mind. I can barely move my own body with the power of my legs these days. But I can still read esports like a book. And so we arrive at this report from Jacob Wolf, the legendary Jacob Wolf, one of the nominees for Journalist of the year, esports journalist of the year last year, nominated alongside me. You know him. He's done loads of stuff. And this is exactly where I knew we were going to end up, and I will be writing a response to this, because these teams, as stupid as they were, certainly deserve to succeed, in my opinion. The Overwatch League teams have started a collective bargaining process against the league, and so we'll explain what this means in plain language in just a moment. But then the tagline is: the teams are seeking some form of economic relief after years of high operating costs and disappointing revenues. Now, who could have foresaw that the Overwatch League was going to really struggle, and that, you know, maybe wasn't going to be the big golden cash cow that people thought it would be? Incredible, really. But let's just check in with what the owners are doing. I also reported last year, but last year's 2022, but it might have been 2021 now. 2021 and 2022 have atom smashed together for me. They don't really feel like distinct years, but whatever, because it's just the same shit happening endlessly. Time is a flat circle, guys. But anyway, I wrote about how there were a number of owners of franchises in Overwatch that had, like, you know, talked privately and said, basically, we really want out and we really want to sell, but we can't find a buyer that was going to pay anything even close to what we paid. And the few people who've suggested they're interested, Activision Blizzard have final veto in the sale, and they don't want us to sell, because they think still somehow it's all going to work. I mean, it's all academic. You're just polishing brass on the Titanic at this point, because Microsoft, eventually, when that deal gets approved, and it will eventually, you know, FTC is going to stick its fingers in, government are going to posture and pose about it. But it's America. Their antitrust laws, by and large, are a joke. And, you know, it'll happen, and then Microsoft are going to go, right, well, these leagues are completely surplus to requirements, don't make money, and completely fucking suck. So out you go. So anyway, I'll read you the report from Jacob. If you can go and sign up to the Jacob Wolf report as well if you want to on Substack. He is now a self-published journalist. He also has a podcast I've appeared on called Visionaries, which is all the pioneers in various fields of esports being interviewed by him in a long-form podcast, which is available in various formats. It does get put on YouTube eventually. Anyway, the majority of Overwatch League teams have retained a British law firm to start a collective bargaining process against the league after years of high operating costs and continually missed promises on revenue. The teams have hired Sheridan's, a media and technology-focused law firm with experience in both traditional sports and esports, to negotiate on their behalf with the league. Sources familiar with those discussions told the Jacob Wolf report. The goal for those discussions is for the teams to be wanting some form of economic relief to promote sustainability after each franchise spent between $7.5 to $10 million in franchise payments over the past 6 years, as well as more than $1 million in operating costs each year to maintain their teams. For some teams, that means they've spent more than $16 million on a league with lackluster viewership and no profitability in sight. Now, let's break this down. Remember when people originally bought the slots, what was being touted was you pay $20 million, in some cases $30 million, for the bigger territories like LA. You will own that territory, and no other team can operate in there. Related to Overwatch, you own the territory, you you know, run all the viewing parties, everything. You have a stadium. People come. People will watch the games when we do our homestand thing. And you've got to maintain a stadium or a venue capable of having a live event. And also, because Blizzard shut down their studios at Burbank, also, we bring our crew to the venue you maintain, and so it has to be broadcast ready as well. So this is what was being put upon the Overwatch League franchises. Now, even with the staggered payments, you find yourself in a league that has, I'm guessing, still no official sponsors. Let me just see. Check the website. Yeah, can't see any at all. Nope. I mean, obviously, they must still have the deal with the people who make the merch, Fanatics, right? But I can't see any sponsor logos anywhere on the website. No, I mean, look, I'm struggling. I can't see one. And so, you know, obviously all of the negative headlines, they have consequences, and the consequences, sponsors don't want to be adjacent to your bullshit. We saw in tail end of 2021, we saw sponsors pulling out, and 2022, sponsors pulling out, people asking about whether there was going to be sponsors. It's really funny because the team owners that bought these franchises originally shilled and said, oh, wow, the Overwatch League's like no other commercial thing we've ever done before. Activision Blizzard are really raising the bar. I bet those tweets have all been deleted now, especially pending this. But anyway, I mean, people aren't anymore, but the expectation was you were going to take on the cost of a venue, maintain it. It's got to be broadcast ready so Blizzard can save money. But don't worry, you're going to get the merch, you know, your cut of the merch sales. You're going to get your cut of anything you sell, you know, live at the event. You're going to get a cut of the sponsors we bring in. You're going to get the ticket revenue. And so you're going to make a ton of money. Problem, obviously, being nobody watches the fucking game, and the game's gone to seed. They've launched Overwatch 2. Does anyone even remember that? It's Overwatch 2 now. Does anyone even care? It's trash. The game's trash. Like, it's over. You like, they didn't even launch. It's not even a real sequel. Like, it's like a content patch. It's like an update. And the viewership, I mean, I can show you that link. I've already covered this before, but it's always worth reminding ourselves so we have the additional context of just how bad the Overwatch League's downward spiral in viewership has been. You can see there how it's trended downwards almost consistently since it launched. You can see this is the year-on-year comparison as well. And this is audience popularity in terms of the language, right? It's a sick joke to try and pass this off as being a successful league. It's failed. It's been an abject failure. And so they're not making anything on the viewership. They're not making anything on the merch. They're not, you know, the revenue has been terrible. And so all of these orgs, they got to stagger the payments. One of the things they suggested for financial relief, I mean, I don't want to use the term exploited, but the PPP loans that you could get during the pandemic so you could cover payroll, I did a report on this too. Orgs went to Activision Blizzard and said the homestand model is fucked, right? The homestand model is fucked now. What are we going to do to get some financial relief from you? And Activision Blizzard, instead of saying, here's a cut of our giant dragon horde pile of gold, said, we'll instruct you and help you on how to get these PPP loans for pandemic relief, right? So, gross. Just insane. I've been writing about this video. Problem, of course, is the competitive Overwatch subreddit. He said the league would fail, and now it's failing. Hate him, even though he's not even an Overwatch journalist, and he's broken bigger stories than all the other Overwatch journalists, except maybe Jacob Wolf, who we also hate on. You know, have to be some fucking dick sucker who wakes up every morning, and maybe I'll be Tracer. That's just how you have to live your life for acceptance. You know what I mean? Some corporate dick sucker. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not that guy, sorry. I thought the league was a bad idea. I said the fucking league would be a bad idea publicly. I said it had a number of critical flaws. Here's the worst part about it as well, and this is why, when we get back to reading this, I want people to really understand the fucking hubris involved. Dare I say, the sheer fucking hubris. I'll dye my scalp purple. Activision Blizzard folk, they used, like I said, back in the day, right? They had all of the consultation for free because we just love Blizzard games. So in esports, we love Blizzard games. So, you know, we go to these after parties and Blizzard employees would be there. Some of them executives, because it was just a different world back then. It was a different company back then. And they used to say, what do you think about the game? And we'd say, like, you should change this and change this. They'd sit down with pro players. Pro players would tell them in StarCraft 2, you know, like, yeah, this unit's too strong. It's killing. This meta fucking sucks. And they would go away and they would listen to them. They would take that feedback on board and they would patch things. And then, after StarCraft 2 started to crater through a variety of things, rampant match fixing, newer games, aggressive Riot push of League of Legends, you know, Twitch tastes changing, all of these things, they flipped out, like Activision Blizzard. And I remember it distinctly because the very last time I ever got to sort of hang out with Blizzard executives in a friendly setting was when they were launching Heroes of the Storm, and people, again, probably don't remember. I hosted a Heroes of the Storm event at DreamHack Valencia. I hosted a Heroes of the Storm event. Me, right? So they said to me at this event, you know, like, listen, you've had access to the beta. What do you think? And I said, well, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I think the way the game is built needs work. It lacks the fundamentals of what's going to keep people interested in a MOBA. I said, you've got the best IP out there. You've got an IP that'll kill it. Being able to mix like Diablo, fucking Warcraft, StarCraft, like, that's sick. Like, you know, you've already got relatable heroes whose concepts you don't need to explain to people. Massive head start. But I said, but you are coming late to the party. So your game's got to shine in a way other games don't. It's got to feel fresh. And their idea of fresh was, they said to me, we want it to be an esport. And so we are going to make it so it's less individual focused and more teamwork focused. And so, you know, that's why they did the leveling up system the way they did and stuff like that. And so there wasn't really any, like, snowballing you could do on an individual basis in HOTS, as it used to be. I stopped playing it because I thought the game was ass. And I told them, I said, that's a bad fucking philosophy. Like, that's a really bad philosophy. People aren't going to want to fuck with that as a MOBA. You know, you really need to rethink it. And they got mad upset about that. They got mad upset. They didn't want to take their medicine. I was already in the naughty list of sorts because I criticised the WCS format and said, you're going to kill your game, right? Well, you know, right again. Remember, right, everything I did for the StarCraft community, right, all the events I covered for StarCraft, all the events I hosted for StarCraft, all the investigative reporting I did, all the advocacy I did for people. When me and Thorin did one podcast where we said WCS format's cheeks and it's going to kill the game, everyone immediately turned on us and said, fuck Richard Lewis. Richard Lewis is an arsehole, he's a piece of shit. StarCraft 2 community used to love me. I used to be like royalty, even though I wasn't endemic to the game. But no, you couldn't criticize it. So there you go. And Blizzard wouldn't let you criticize it neither, even though it all turned out to be right. And I told them it'll fail if you keep it like it is. And I also fucked up with Valencia because I made a joke about them not having a champ select built into the game. Which, again, bit of an oversight for a MOBA, in my opinion. But what do I know? I've only been in esports for 20 years. It's fine, I guess. So, anyway, they started wanting to make the great esport. And they failed with HOTS, and they pulled the plug unceremoniously, told all their friends in the media they were going to do it, but didn't tell the team owners, didn't tell the casters, didn't tell the players, people signing housing agreements, people signing organisational contracts, didn't tip them off. Tipped off all their friends, all their friendly little journalists that write puff pieces about Activision Blizzard. That's aged terrible, hasn't it? You don't like writing nice pieces about Activision Blizzard, you know, now with all the systemic sexism and all that. But you were happy to prop them up, weren't you? Ooh, for a little goodie bag. You know you are. So all of those motherfuckers got absolutely jacked, and they found out late. And then, obviously, when HOTS failed, they were like, don't worry, we've got the real one. We got Overwatch now. Overwatch is the one. And so they pitched just lie after lie after lie. The fucking now hilarious, legendary Morgan Stanley report. Just absolute bullshit. Morgan Stanley, by the way, had financial interests in Activision Blizzard, disclosed in the document it said, and yet people trusted this document. You know, mental. So, anyway, the people who've come into this have been absolutely fucked. Okay? People who come into this have been fucked. Make no mistake about it. There's no hiding behind the pandemic. This was a broken model from the start based on Activision Blizzard's hubris that they thought they deserved something out of esports because they made a game that was one of the bedrocks of esports by accident. It all comes back to that. And so they wouldn't listen to a single person on this. And like I say, I told them. I would always tell them honestly. But games developers don't want honesty. They want you to drop to your knees and fillet them. In some cases, literally. So anyway, negotiations between the teams, Sheridans and Activision Blizzard have only begun, and tensions are high as teams evaluate how they will spend prior to the 2023 season, which begins this spring. Activision Blizzard did not respond to a request for comment. Discussions among the teams about taking collective action have spanned years, as many have lobbied complaints to the league since the COVID-19 pandemic fundamentally changed the league structure in 2020. But the decision to collectively organise is more recent and in part was led by Overactive Media, the ownership group behind the Toronto Defiant, sources have said. Overactive have previously worked with Sheridans on transactions related to its League European Championship team, Mad Lions. While operating costs for Overwatch League teams is lower than other esports leagues, such as the League Championship Series, the Overwatch League featured the highest franchise buy-in ever. For the 12 franchises who joined before Season 1, each committed to a $20 million franchise tag to be paid over time, according to ESPN, and Season 2 expansion teams faced prices that were even higher, ranging from $27 to $35 million, as was reported on the Wolf Report in May. So, what's interesting here is there was friction between the owners. Not everyone was on the same page. A number of people thought, you know, listen, Overwatch 2 is going to save the league. A number of people who said Overwatch 2 ain't going to save shit. And so the owners couldn't really get on the same page. Some orgs have been really successful. Some, like, in Overwatch terms. So it means you're still hemorrhaging money. Some haven't. And so, obviously, the idea of a collective bargaining process couldn't happen because not everybody was on the outs of the league. This is super significant because this suggests all of the owners are coming together. They want their money back, essentially. They want some money for what they've done. And you can see it hinges on the fact that the league structure completely changed from what was promised. Now, I'm going to write an article up about that. We'll get into some of those, like, promises and what the sales pitch was. You know, I mean, in the Morgan Stanley report, they said I don't even think it was the best case. I think it was like the second from best case, but don't quote me on that. It could be the best case. But they said the league could make $100 million a year. And it's just like, I don't know where or how. It's just insane. I mean, you know, you make 100 million. You make more than 100 million if you charge everyone 20 million to get in the league. You know, it's the only way that could be true. But yeah, you know, so that was like, there's loads in the Morgan Stanley report, which is just like, just insane and comedic. But here's another little interesting part to it. Even the material promises that were originally made aren't even being upheld in the Overwatch League right now. So can anyone explain this to me? This is how comical the league has sort of become. It's like, it's almost like a joke at this point. The Philadelphia Fusion, you know, a successful team, you know, big sponsor behind it. They are now rebranding as the Soul Infernal ahead of Overwatch 2023. Right, the season that's starting, I think, in like a couple of days, right? Your successful Philadelphia brand has now moved their team operations to Seoul, South Korea, and is operating in the T1 training facilities because T1 was, you know, the hand that rocks the cradle. So you can see here, Philadelphia Fusion was always short of achieving greatness in the Overwatch League. Their various rosters over the year have been, for the most part, defined by strong South Korean talent that has managed to keep the team near the top of the Overwatch League for years. But they almost always come in second place. This team doesn't have any big first-place finishes or titles, and that's something they'll be looking to change with their 2023 rebrand, right? It's like, it's not even the same team at this point. Like, you know, if you're a Philadelphia Fusion, put it this way, this does happen in NFL, right? Like, you know, we all know about the history of the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns and all of that stuff, right? So, you know, fair enough. But and franchises move. You know, I'm a Raiders fan, so we've done that quite a bit, right? We fought to move. You know, Al Davis fucking took the league to task over the right to move to a bigger territory, right? And won. So, you know, Oakland, LA, back to Auckland, now in Vegas, you know? It's one of those things. It happens a lot, right? You move. But you retain a core of your identity, you know, except in the most, like, extreme examples. This is, like, it's just a different team. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're a Philadelphia Fusion fan, get fucked, I guess. Like, that's literally what the league is in. So imagine how the league has struggled to build up fans and generate interest. You have a semi-successful franchise, you know, one of the better ones, and now you're just like, yeah, go fuck yourself. We're Soul Infernal. Yo, I'm from Philly, like, you know, like, because they wanted it to be regional. I mean, this is the comedy of it. They could have just had it global. They could have all had cool names, not linked to cities, you know, could have just had cool names. Could have just been Fusion. Could have just been Fusion. Team Fusion. Could have just been that. Team Fusion, where everyone from all over the world who likes Fusion, I don't even know how to scientifically explain it because I'm a scientific moron. I don't know the difference between fusion and fission. That's probably a problem at my age. But whatever, it's too late. You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Bottom line is, you like electricity, you like fusion, the concept of fusion, you're going to love Team Fusion. Come and support Team Fusion. The Electricians Union sponsors Team Fusion, right? So, wicked. You've got Team Fusion. Team Fusion fans can come from all over the world, wherever anyone has a yen for electricity and nuclear power or something. I don't know. But Philadelphia Fusion, well, that's Philadelphia, isn't it? And they really pushed that angle. Like, remember at the start? You know, it's all regional. Ooh, the big rivalry between the big cities. Ooh, it'll add so much storylines to it. And people like, you know, Hex from Optic, they were like, nah, I mean, like, one of the best things about esports is being, like, global and that, because we're digital, so you don't have to, the only thing that fucks you is the time zone. You know what I mean? And they were like, no, this is the future. This thing that has tried and failed multiple times. We had it in the fucking CGS, right? No. So anyway, really, really dumb. Like, go fuck yourself, Fusion fans. But then, Soul Infernal. Right, well, I thought, right, one of the big things they pushed was you will have exclusivity over a region. This is a big deal. This come up time and time again, right? That, you know, I think it came up with the Cloud9 owned team, that they went and did like a fan meetup or something. I can't remember the exact story. It's largely irrelevant. But the bottom line is I think they went and did a fan meetup in a territory where they weren't exclusive. It wasn't their territory, but they had Korean players. So it might have been the Seoul Dynasty or whatever they were called. And anyway, they got pissed off and they said to Activision Blizzard, like, yo, we can't just have motherfuckers roll up in our territory doing fan signings because that's where they're from. They're London Spitfire. London's their territory. And obviously in the back, Activision Blizzard were going, well, they do have a point and we don't want to upset our Korean friends. You know, we're already on thin ice with like Kesper and people like that out here. Plus, one of the org is owned by our Korean game distributor. Don't talk about that. Don't think about that too much. Don't think about that being some sort of insane fundamental conflict of interest in a competitive league. So anyway, that was that story. But like, they've now got two teams in Seoul after explicitly saying that was like not what was going to happen. Like, look, Seoul, they represent Seoul. They were meant to have exclusivity. This was built into the price of what you were buying. You were buying a territory. Now you don't even get that. So fuck me, like, these owners, they were stupid They were stupid to ever buy into this. But holy shit. Like, they have been robbed blind, in my opinion. Activision Blizzard hasn't delivered on a single solitary thing. And all of the scandals and all of the problems pushing the sponsors away just makes it an absolute train wreck. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad. I'm on video saying it's going to be bad. I'm right. But I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't see it getting to like this stage. This utter car crash of a league where you've got a different format every season because you don't know what you're doing. Orgs that haven't even existed for like a year, 2 years, phasing out of existence. The LA teams in China. And speaking of that, right? While we're on top of fucking insane timing, like just terrible fucking things, let's start with this. There's even a chance, right? So I was asking around, because listen, I'm fascinated by this league. I think one day, you know, if I can just get independently wealthy. Spoiler, give me your Twitch Primes. If you have a Twitch Prime, it's just there. You just click on the Twitch subscribe button, and it's free, but it gives me $2.50 sometimes. It's incredible. You can just click on it, right? Doesn't even reoccur. Come on. You're here for a reason. Click on that Prime button. You're only gonna bloody give it to Pokemon, right? So anyway, so if I ever get independently wealthy, I think one day I'll write the book. So listen, I want to write a book about it. So I'm always asking around what's going on. So get this aspect to it, right? You might not have heard about this, but Activision Blizzard, okay, they fucked up the deal with NetEase, which is their Chinese publisher. So just in case you don't know, because I know some people aren't like an esports nerd like me, if you do business in China, you have got to be partnered with a Chinese company, because the Chinese state says we got to get ours. It's very, you know, it's the classic Chinese policy. What about us? What do we get out of it? If the answer is nothing or less than we would like, go fuck yourself, the West. We don't need you. We don't need your shit, but you definitely need our market to make money. And so it works like this. You have to partner up. Now, for years, Blizzard has been partnered up with NetEase. And then just totally out of left field, I did not see this coming, right? This is a crazy story. For 14 years, they've had a licensing relationship with NetEase, and it is over. It's over now, as of December 2022. As it stands, this means Blizzard's games, including esports titles like Overwatch, StarCraft, and Hearthstone, are not available in China as of the start of January 2023. There were two rather contrasting official announcements made by Blizzard and NetEase. Right, you're going to love this bit, guys, right? So, Blizzard Entertainment President Mike Ybarra, you know, newly appointed in the Great Shuffle when everyone was looking for patsies to get down Mr. Kotick to protect Bobby Kotick. Little sideline, right? You can cut this out if you want, Griff, or leave it in. At the moment, I'm writing an article for Deserto, which is like my year in review, and I don't think Deserto are going to publish it. I think it's going to be quite contentious. But what I've decided to do is I have crafted my own Chinese-style zodiac. I'm so fucking ill, it's depressing. Anyway, so I've crafted my own Chinese-style zodiac, right? So if you know the story, the Jade Emperor, right? How, you know, they have like Year of the Pig, Year of the Rat, Year of the Rabbit, you know, all of that, right? The Jade Emperor, right? Who's like this great mythological figure in, you know, Chinese history. The Jade Emperor sent out a call to all the animals in the kingdom, right? And said, I'm going to have a great race for all the animals. You're going to swim across this mighty roaring river and, you know, we'll see who wins. And loads of the animals couldn't be asked to turn up, right? And they just didn't. So only 12 animals turned up, right? And the Jade Emperor said, listen, I'm super happy you guys turned up. So because you did, as an extra honor for each of you that completes swimming across this mighty river, I'll name a year after you. Okay? And so the reason, right, you have all of these, like, Year of the Rat, Year of the Pig, Year of the fucking dog, or whatever, you know. The reason you have that is because of this mythological story, and the rat wins, okay? I don't want to ruin it. No spoilers. Spoilers for the Chinese Zodiac. The rat wins. The rat wins by using rat-like traits, right? Which is the rat was best friends with the cat. And the cat and the rat was sharing a room. I'm sure, you know, platonic. It's China after all. But anyway, they were sharing a room. And so the rat didn't wake up the cat. So the rat would have a head start. And that's why cats hate rats for the rest of time. It's because of that. But the rat was cunning, you see. And also, when the rat got tired on a part of the river, he said to the ox, "Oh, listen, mate, can I just ride on your back?" And the ox, big and strong, big heart, noble, he went, "Yeah, of course. Not going to let you drown, am I?" And so the rat rode the ox the rest of the way, jumped out on the other side, the rat won the race. See? And so rats are kind of well regarded, actually, because they're intelligent, cunning, resourceful, can be a bit greedy, you know, but there you go. So anyway, so I did my own esports Zodiac, okay? And we did something similar in esports, didn't we? We said, all the animals, all the people in the kingdom, come and look what we've built. Come and look at esports. And not everyone showed up. Nobody good showed up. You know, so we got the hypocrite, the liar, the thief, the predator. These are the types of people. The failure. These are the types of animals that gravitated towards esports. And so I declared 2022 on my esports Zodiac to be the year of the scumbag. Right? And this article, called 2022 Year of the Scumbag, it explains the new esports Zodiac that I made up while I was having a mental health episode. And I have declared Bobby Kotick the best example of the scumbag. Now, I am convinced DeSoto's just not going to publish this. I think the word scumbag has already been used about 50 times in like 1,000 words. Like 50 of the 1,000 is the word scumbag. But I'm going to do all of the scumbags. All of the truly great scumbags that proved 2022 had high scumbag energy. So, just, anyway, Bobby Kotick, king of the scumbags, in the year of the scumbag, 2022. Watch out for that. So, we can get back to this now. Griff, you can leave that in. I don't care. Some people on YouTube don't like the tangents. Other people like the tangents. Yeah, whatever, you know. Fucking turn up on Twitch. You don't have a choice, so stop complaining. And you can fast forward. This is real life, you know. The Twitch people get it worse. And they pay. Think about that. You bitching YouTube users. Anyway, Mike Ybarra, he expressed optimism, stating that the company is immensely grateful for the passion our Chinese community has shown throughout the nearly 20 years we've been bringing our games to China through NetEase and other partners. According to a Blizzard press release, the company's failed to extend the deal because Blizzard did not consider the renewal terms consistent with their operating principles and commitments to players and employees. Ybarra added that Blizzard is looking for alternatives to bring our games back to players in the future. As a result, new sales in China will be suspended in the coming days, with Blizzard promising to release details about how this will work soon. Upcoming expansions for World of Warcraft and Hearthstone and Season 2 of Overwatch 2 will proceed later this year, Blizzard said. However, a press release published by NetEase claimed the company had tried hard to renegotiate the deal. We put in a great deal of effort and tried with our utmost sincerity to negotiate with Activision Blizzard so we could continue our collaboration and serve the many dedicated players in China, said William Ding, the CEO of NetEase. However, there were material differences on key terms and we could not reach an agreement. In an attempt to assure investors, NetEase claimed in the release that the income generated by Blizzard games represented low single digits of a percentage of NetEase's total net revenues and that the expiration of such licenses will have no material impact on NetEase's financial results. The NetEase president Simon Zhu, however, expressed discontent in a LinkedIn post, stating, "One day, when what's happened behind the scenes can be told, developers and gamers will have a whole new level of understanding about how much damage a jerk can make." Right? Wonder who the jerk is. Any ideas? It's got to be Bobby. So it's got to be, but surely there can't be another big jerk at Activision Blizzard. Surely not. They're a great company. Where did I put my breast milk? Anyway, it continues. The ramifications for esports are uncertain at this point. China has 4 franchise league spots in the Overwatch League, including Shanghai Dragons, the Hangzhou Spark, Chengdu Hunters, and Guangzhou Charge. China is the largest esports market in the world. Now listen, what does it mean when it says it's uncertain at this point? The ramification for esports? Well, so here's what I've been told. Okay, I've had loads of people getting back to me, but all of the sources are a bit contrasting because get this. They might not be able to play the Chinese games in the Overwatch League as things stand. And so I reached out to a few people to get some clarification on it, and I heard 2 things. One thing is, we're going to postpone the games in China until a new publisher is found. Now, that could take forever, you know? You don't know what kind of corporate ties NetEase have, what kind of government influence could get exerted in this matter. I mean, shit, like, there's no guarantee you do find another publisher in a timely fashion, or if at all, right? They've got you over a barrel if you want to tap into that market. I also can't even theorize, by the way, in the first case, what's brought this friction about suddenly, because we all know Activision Blizzard have 0 fucking principles, so, I mean, what's the problem? Like, what, suddenly you caught feelings? You fined and banned a player for saying freedom for Hong Kong, refused to name him or Hong Kong in the apology for it, where you shortened the sentence but didn't fully retract it. You denied that the NetEase post that said China will not be disrespected like this. The official Activision Blizzard Games NetEase, you know, page that they have out there said that. You denied you had anything to do with that. You said that wasn't representative of your views. So the idea you've suddenly caught feelings now, like, seems a bit fucking weird. So whatever. Here's what I heard, as I said. They're either going to postpone those games in China, or, and this is the other mad one, they're going to play them, but they're going to use a different client and a VPN. In China? I think you're taking, I can't know. If that happens, there could be serious problems. I'm sure that can't be what you're going to do. But some people seem to think that's the compromise. Who am I to say? Not a story. I can't verify it, otherwise I'd publish it. Well, I'll certainly tell you what I've heard through the fucking grapevine. And yes, you are right, Champer. I've seen that as well. I've seen it's been done before. It certainly has. Ridiculously. Because esports isn't a serious place. I'm more than happy to recommend NordVPN to Activision Blizzard. If they want to, for that game, you can sign up with my referral code. You can go to nordvpn.com/RLS. You know, you're going to get 4 months free, more than enough to play the whole league, actually, if you think about it. I mean, you know, it's super simple. Even an Activision Blizzard employee can use it. You know, you just 2 clicks and you can be in any country that isn't China. So totally up to you. Anyway, more on this story, because it's interesting. The Esports Advocate, which is a new publication that I can strongly recommend. The chap behind it, I believe, used to be... I can't remember. I always get the Esports Observer, which amalgamated with Sports Business Journal, and the Esports Insider, which we were just at. I always get them 2 mixed up in terms of who worked where, because they're all very similar names. And now with the Esports Advocate, I'm going to get it wrong. But I think he was at the Esports Observer prior to this, which is a fine publication, and Kevin Hitt works there, and, you know, well, he works, as I said, it's all Sports Business Journal there, but they amalgamated it, basically, and the archive's still up over at SBJ. But anyway, this is a new publication. If you're interested in the business side of esports and how it's all going to come tumbling down, trust me, they're going to be publishing some great pieces over at the Esports Advocate, and you should totally follow it for sure. Anyway, here it is. NetEase versus Activision Blizzard. Why NetEase had to refuse a 6-month extension. And this story, you're gonna enjoy this one. So, US game publisher. By the way, this was written by Hong Yu Chen. US game publisher Activision Blizzard announced on Tuesday its Chinese distributor NetEase had refused a proposal to extend their 14-year long-term partnership deal for just 6 months while they found an alternative distribution partner in China. So there was so much bad feeling in the deal, they said, look, do you want to just keep making money for 6 months? And, like, we'll peace out at the end of the 6 months. Just give us a little bit longer. And NetEase went, nah, fuck you. Right? So whoever this jerk is fucked it up big time. Since NetEase posted its ending announcement, we are all suffering from the situation as we always put our gamers and users in the first place, Activision Blizzard claimed in an announcement in China last week. That was January the 9th to the 13th. So, yeah, 7 days ago. We reached out to NetEase and asked for a 6-month extension, which is based on the deal NetEase agreed to in 2019. However, NetEase refused the proposal, and we had no choice but to close the game service on January 23rd, according to the NetEase ending announcement. But the timeline of events presented by Activision Blizzard doesn't match up. In fact, it was Activision Blizzard that initiated the ending announcement on its official website on November 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and first detailed the expiration date of the partnership being January 23rd. NetEase responded to Activision Blizzard at 4:49 a.m. Eastern Time on November 17th and confirmed that all Blizzard games, including World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Warcraft 3 Reforged, whoever's playing that, Overwatch, StarCraft 1 and 2, Diablo 3, and Heroes of the Storm would all be suspended by midnight local time, January 24th, 2023. Working on that understanding of Activision Blizzard's timeline, NetEase disbanded the NetEase Blizzard local team, laid off close to 100 employees, and left around 10 employees to handle up follow-up work, sources close to NetEase told the Esports Advocate. In addition, the office of the original joint department of NetEase Blizzard has been closed. A photo of the office obtained by the Esports Advocate shows that it is empty. At this point, it's basically impossible for NetEase to agree to an extension of 6 months. Activision Blizzard is claiming that it negotiated the proposal with NetEase last week. So in other words, Activision Blizzard jumped the gun to the point where NetEase said, all right then, fine. They laid off the staff that deals specifically with those games on their platform. And then Activision Blizzard came around later and went, we'd love a 6-month extension, actually. Actually, yeah, we did totally jump the gun. It's like a fucking angry breakup. You know, it's like, fuck this relationship. I don't know, do a little bit of performative. Yeah, that's me throwing a bottle over there. Like when Homer Simpson punches that fly. But yeah, fuck this relationship, I'm out. And then, you know, you sober up or you spend 2 days lonely. Ah, shit, it wasn't all that bad, actually. Can I come back now? No, sorry, you said it's over. It's over. I'm already dating your best mate. Sorry. You know, it's ridiculous. Activision also claimed that it was still looking for alternative partners in China. Unfortunately, NetEase is not willing to extend the game service for another 6 months on the existing terms while we seek a new partner so everyone can continue to play it during this period. Activision Blizzard said and then emphasized it would still thrive on finding partners who share the same beliefs. That phrase again, share the same beliefs. What beliefs? What beliefs do you suddenly embody that is so important to you now that hasn't been important for 14 years? Did you watch your first Hassan video, Blizzard? Like, what's happened? Like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. What's happened? Like, what's suddenly so important that you weren't aware of? Ridiculous. Anyway, pretty much all you need to know from that report. But this is the other part of it as well. Just to top it off, for high comedy, they had this like Warcraft axe outside of the NetEase headquarters, and they demolished it. They tore it down. So offended by whatever the fuck happened in this meeting, they tore down the iconic Warcraft. No, there is no going back. You've torn down the axe. It's over. This is like a declaration of war in medieval times. Like, you know what I mean? They're gone. Was it Gorehowl? Yeah, there you go. Fucking Gorehowl's gone. Listen, even I know Gorehowl. So the blowback from that potentially on the league is crazy. It is crazy because China is like one of the. That was the silver lining when the pandemic happened. And okay, we're down. We can get our teams out there. We can still keep the league running. We can do it on reduced costs. We got good infrastructure in China. It's got a big fan base. We admit it to, you know, that was the silver lining. And now They might not even be able to play the games legally. No one even knows. Like, the season starts. The season starts, I think, the same day the NetEase plug is pulled. It's too perfect. It's too Activision Blizzard. You know what I mean? It's so ridiculous. So, listen, giving my professional expertise opinion, like, I can't see a world, by the way, where if, like, Activision Blizzard keep denying some sort of financial relief to the owners, I can't imagine a world where they're not going to get the pants ripped off them in a court. Like, I mean, because as I'll demonstrate in articles to come after Year of the Scumbag, it's never got close to delivering what was promised. It never got close to delivering what was teased. Not even, you know, it's like, it's never even been the same. I don't even know what it must be like to be a fan of Overwatch League esports, because you can't even compare teams and you can't even compare seasons, because different formats, different way, different this, different that, different regions, different territories, different metas. It's just like, what's happening? Like, what was happening with your game? Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, and it's been clearly downhill since the start. You know, it peaked on its first day. It peaked. They could, you know, the other part of that I should have probably thrown in somewhere, so I'll throw it at the end. They're never getting another media deal. They're never getting another media deal. I mean, they've absolutely fucked that up for everyone. Not, I mean, like, people always talked about, you know, what's the ramifications going to be if the Overwatch League collapses? And one of the things I said, but this was in 2016, but, you know, one of the things even I said was, you know, it will scare off future investors in esports. Now I'm going to be the one scaring them off. The irony. But, you know, but that's not even the case. The lasting damage that's been done is the media rights deals, because Twitch paid 90 million for 2 seasons. 2 years, I should say. The YouTube deal was the same as that, but with Hearthstone and Call of Duty and everything else built into it. And then now it's just back to Twitch, quietly. And Hearthstone got killed as a sort of fucking, just a little pawn in a game of chess. Like, they did it again. This is what I mean. Activision Blizzard, this has got nothing to even do with the Overwatch League, but it might be worth leaving it on just for a bit of completion. Like, Hearthstone will tell you all you need to know about Activision Blizzard's views around their communities and their games and how seriously they take it. My good friend, another old school journalist, one of the good ones, Melistrix. He's an editor now at esports.com. And they did a report. You can go and read it. It's below. But here's the gist of it. Blizzard just put a knife into Hearthstone esports. Total prize pool for the year went down from $3 million to $650,000. There will be no regional broadcasts. And they said to doing this is setting Hearthstone esports up for sustainability as it turns a decade old. Now, understand, they created a game that was popular. They had an esport for it. They could have done so much with it, but they fucked it up again. Let me tell you a story. I don't know if this is like public knowledge or whatever, but when I was at WSOE, because it was in Vegas, one of the things we originally explored was we wanted to do like a Hearthstone tournament, and we ended up doing one, but man, and it was really good, but man alive, the Blizzard pushback was insane. Because prior to that, get this, prior to that, when Hearthstone was at its peak, they used to tell people, if you're going to run a tournament, you have to have that stupid fucking tavern backdrop. You know, where you're in the fake Warcraft pub. The cartoon dwarf fucking behind you. Ah, welcome back. Yeah, fucking full Mrs. Doubtfire on you, you know. It's like, this is trash. Like, you know, the adults play these games. Like, adults play these games. And it was a stipulation, because I remember it coming up when, like, ESGN, it was run by Klaus, run by Sapinder, another bunch of fucking financial criminals and grifters that came through esports. I remember it coming up then. It was like they had to do the whole fucking, you know, they had to do the whole, like, cartoon Hearthstone thing. And we had some really good ideas. Like, a card game in Vegas, like, it's the bread and butter of what the production company was built to do. And so, in the end, I mean, like, it was a great show, I thought. I mean, put it this way. The shows we did in WSOE, we had some problems with the Fortnite one, sure, but everybody liked that. The PUBG one was probably the best PUBG event. The Hearthstone event was absolutely wicked. But yeah, but it was like, you know, the way we ended up doing it was, in order to get out from the original plan and for Blizzard to have less control, I think that was when we came in and we basically said, like, what if we did a women's only tournament? And then they went, oh, well, if you're promoting women's esports, certainly we'll be less aggressive in the type of input we want to have. And that was essentially, like, the original plan was, we'll just do a big Hearthstone tournament, but we just didn't want to do any of that, like, cartoon bullshit. And so, you know, we couldn't do it. And in the end, we said, listen, we still want to do Hearthstone. We still want to do all this cool stuff. Why not just talk to the women and see how they feel about what we want to do? And then we do a women's tournament. Fuck it. We'll bring in all the same casters, all the same crew. We'll treat it all with the exact same respect to the show we wanted to do. And we did. And so, and that was when Gia got the tournament and everything. So, you know, it was a great event. But what makes me sad is that you could have been having independent operators running loads of sick Hearthstone tournaments, but Activision Blizzard, they did the same with Overwatch as well, by the way. Overwatch demands at the start of Overwatch, when they thought it was going to be hot shit, and again, I got kicked out of my own show by Blizzard employees. I couldn't host the E-League Overwatch tournament we did, which had, like, Anderson Semler doing the casting. They basically wanted so much control over what you do. When they were pitching to independent tournament operators, some of the demands on the original fucking sheet was mental. You can't run your own stats. Only we get to do stats because we're going to run comprehensive advanced stats in the Overwatch League when it starts. So you don't get to do that. The types of production you could do, the types of special effects and augmented reality, they said you couldn't do that. They said actively, no, we will do that. Because they didn't want any broadcast to look better than the Overwatch League when it started. So they deliberately made all these demands. Another demand they used to make was, even though it was a third party they were hiring, like a white label event, they demanded Activision Blizzard employees be in the production truck telling you what to do. For the third, but you're being hired as a third party contractor. So Activision Blizzard kill their own fucking games with these, like, insane, stupid stipulations. And you could have had competent third-party operators running great Hearthstone tournaments, HOTS tournaments, Overwatch tournaments. And now, obviously, that they're on their fucking knees, having fucked everything up, they're all like, oh, how did it all go wrong? You cunt. You did it. It's always you, Activision Blizzard. They don't give a fuck. They don't have a clue and they don't give a fuck. You marry those two things together, what you got? A fucking pile of shit. Anyway, I think that's all for the Overwatch stuff. No! Okay, I can segue into some things. I saw some pretty awful esports reporting. I've seen some terrible esports reporting down the years. As you know, I will always call it out. It used to be back in the day, if you were an expert, like, if you wanted to write about something, like, as a journalist, you had to have some sort of expertise. And if you didn't have the expertise initially, you weren't given anything complicated to write where your expertise might be required. And you could learn in the job. You hang around, you know, you partner up with, like, a really good editor or another journalist. They teach you the ropes, they'd introduce you to people until you eventually get to do your first story by yourself. And then it's on you, using that experience, using that, you know, early skills that you get, using those early skills that you get. You know, you come through your apprenticeship. It's up to you then to build up your source network and get better and better at the beat. These days, you just get told, write about this. That's it. An editor says, I want an article about this, right? Or, you've got a vague interest in this. Why don't you write about that? That'll be good. That'll be down with the kids. And it's fucking terrible. And you've seen the caliber of gaming journalism. I mean political journalism. It's all in the fucking toilet, man. But this was unbelievable. So, this is an article on Wired from last week. The Overwatch League ruled esports. You might have missed that, guys. You might have missed when Overwatch League was the biggest esports product out there. Not even Doctor Strange can find the alternate reality where this is true. But, yeah, the Overwatch League ruled esports. Then everything went wrong. I would argue that if the Overwatch League ruled... It should be the other way around. Everything went wrong, then the Overwatch League ruled esports. That's the only conceptual way it could actually be true. But anyway, whatever. This article has so much garbage in it. It's just insane. You can see, I mean, look, right? Since its formation in 2017, the Overwatch League, the professional esports program for Activision Blizzard's Overwatch hero shooter, has drawn frequent comparisons to traditional sporting institutions. Its stated aim, as Wired put in a 2017 feature, was to become the new US National Football League. So they were aiming to be the NFL. That was always the funny thing about them. They didn't even say, their hubris, their sheer fucking hubris, they didn't even say, we want to be the next LCS, right? They said, we want to be the next NFL. The two institutions certainly overlapped. The Overwatch League was the first major esports league to franchise local teams in major cities. Wrong. And it features live spectator events with hometown crowds and salaried athletes. No, it doesn't. It did. It's had, what, like 3? Is that like 3 of them, you know? Like, Odie will tell you about Birmingham Salvo. By the way, it's Will Chamberlain, was it? Will Bedingfield, sorry. All you got to do is just, if you're unsure, like, reach out to someone. I don't know. Maybe the patron saint of esports journalists, you know? I don't think I've got a beef with Wired. Not a particular one, not a strong one. You can always reach out. Esports Jesus will save you from bad articles and false copy, but no, okay. Not interested. Instead, ye must be damned on a live stream. The goal was to offer esports fans a more traditional sports model, because that's what esports fans want. That's what esports fans really want, which is why they aren't playing sports, you know, or watching sports. Because they want that. They want that. They just don't know it. They don't know football's a thing. They don't know basketball's a thing. They don't know soccer is a thing. You know, if they did, if they knew about those things, they would totally choose them, you know. Anyway, where they could go to a local arena or venue, see their hometown play against an away team, and cheer during the event. The model offered local pop-up stores, team merchandise, ticket sales, media rights, and licensing. Well-known sports tycoons. I do like that word. I do like sports tycoons. That's what they were, right? Co-own multiple esports teams. Steve Bornstein was CEO of the NFL Network before he became Blizzard's esports chair. He told Wired in 2017, try not to laugh, guys, when I left the NFL, the only thing I saw that had the potential to be as big was the esports space. Yuck, yuck, yuck. No more potent symbol of the league's ambition existed than the plans for a Philadelphia Fusion Stadium, a $50 million, 65,000 square foot, 3,500 seat arena projected to turn Philadelphia into an esports town. As Cecilia D'Anastasio recently revealed to Bloomberg, Activision Blizzard enticed team buyers with a projected league revenue of $125 million by 2020. This money has not materialized. Really? Why? Tell me why. Though buoyed by the release of Overwatch 2 and the beginning of a new season of the Overwatch League, viewership has dwindled. Overwatch League 2022 Summer Showdown, for example, was less popular than the 2 previous years' events, according to esports charts, with just 51,000 peak viewers. 51,000 peak viewers for a $20 million buy-in. And not even all of those 51,000 are even your fans And not all of those 51,000 are even real people. Not to mention, when they got caught doing those shitty little embeds. Do you remember that? Remember when they were doing... That was the big grift. Let's embed our streams in, like, popular websites. And so if you're looking to see, all right, I've got a mid-lane Void Spirit, what count is that? And then you count as an Overwatch League viewer. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant, guys. This esports is really sustainable. Yeah, let's get more into that. It's not total fake fugazi bullshit. Like, yeah, perfect. Remember when they embedded it into the fucking Battle.net client? Just there, just the stream. Yeah, oh, look, 400,000 people are watching. No, fucking 400,000 people are fucking waiting to play a game. Anyway, questionable moves, like switching the Overwatch League's primary broadcast medium from Amazon on Twitch, the most popular site on the web for live stream game content, to YouTube in early 2020. I always love how these journalists frame it that they had a choice. Let's be specific here. Twitch got finessed, right? Because, crucially, Activision Blizzard essentially intimated they would pull all Activision Blizzard games from Twitch if they didn't give them a deal. And how did they do this? They said, because we've got our own streaming platform now. You're going to go, Richard, they don't have their own streaming platform. You're remembering things wrong. No, Activision Blizzard bought MLG, didn't they? Now, why would Activision Blizzard need an in-house tournament operator? Oh, that's right. They weren't really buying them for that, which is why they didn't run any tournaments, even though when they were bought, the original promise from the people who were going into Activision Blizzard was, we could run a Counter-Strike tournament if we wanted to. Yeah, good luck running a fucking rival publisher's game when you're owned by Activision Blizzard. Like, what naivety from industry veterans. But anyway, they bought them for the MLG TV, the MLG TV streaming platform. And the first ever Overwatch broadcast, what was it shown on? They did it on MLG TV, and it went off without a hitch. And that was to prove to Twitch, oh, we can do it if we want to. And maybe we might want to do it for Hearthstone, which was still popular at the time. World of Warcraft, always popular. You know, we can do it for all the... We'll just pull them off, and those games aren't on yours anymore. So Twitch were like, fuck. There was also a person, I know who it is. I've never revealed their name. I'll never reveal their name. It's not really fair that they should carry the can. But here's the bottom line is there was one person that strongly pushed for this deal within Twitch. They had the clout to do it. And they did, and they knew people at Activision Blizzard. And they were well regarded by Twitch. And they basically pushed this $90 million amount. And that person isn't at the company anymore. That's all you need to know, folks. So... that's all you need to know. It was a grift. They got finessed. And in the aftermath of that, there's no going back. It wasn't a decision to move to YouTube. Twitch said, we're never paying again for that shit. And YouTube wanted to grow their esports portfolio, their gaming portfolio, their live streaming portfolio. They were willing to pay money. And now, you'll notice, didn't re-up the deal for some reason. How strange. Again, journalists can just research this. It's all fucking, you know, if you've been in the actual esports world, you know all this. Anyway, COVID-19 shut down the live in-person events and tournaments that gave the league life. It didn't give the league life. They did barely any, right? They did most of them at the Burbank studio. They didn't do these homestand events that were meant to be the lifeblood of, you know, they did a handful of them. With the international travel that players relied on to get quickly from the hometowns to matches. On top of all of those factors, allegations of abuse and harassment inside Activision Blizzard led gamers, advertisers, and sponsors to abandon the league, forcing the company to scale back some of its growth ambitions. In 2023, the league's path to profitability is unclear. Pessimism is compounded by the uncertain future of its pioneer, Bobby Kotick. Imagine! That's a cause for pessimism, is it? And Activision Blizzard's decision to lay off 50 esports employees in 2021. Even now, the US Federal Trade Commission is seeking to block the company's $69 billion acquisition by Microsoft. It's an understatement to say the league has had a rough ride over the past years. So, it's insane how that has been represented in this article, because like all of that is just like the most positive spin, and in several cases just out-and-out inaccuracies. And then, if I remember rightly, there was one ridiculous quote. Yeah, here we go. Carol Severin, senior analyst and co-founder at Media Research, says that one way to entice more gamers, leaving non-gamers aside for the moment, is to develop a hook beyond the games themselves. Who knew? He argues that Riot Games, maker of League of Legends and Valorant, has hit on a winning formula with KDA, a virtual K-pop band with hundreds of millions of views on YouTube, broad merchandising, adoring fans, and regular performances at Riot-hosted events and tournaments. Turning profitable comes down to finding other avenues of revenue, whether that be streaming, hardware, or merch. So, unironically, this expert who has been brought in to talk about how you can run a successful esports property says creating a K-pop band is the answer. That's it. Who knew? The quote goes, if esports is going to remain about esports, it's only ever going to appeal to the small segment of consumers, says Severin. While emphasizing entertainment beyond the sport itself might seem cynical, it makes business sense. Popcorn famously saved many movie theaters during the Great Depression, Severin points out. So, you know what? For example, if it wasn't for popcorn, it's just too ridiculous. Easily strong out the gates 2023 for a terrible piece of journalism. And there we can definitely end the Overwatch talk